MJ Transit riders have been fearing it for weeks, but today it's official. They will be paying more beginning this summer.
Today, the Transit Board unanimously voted yes to increase fares, making it the first hike in nearly a decade. The board approved a 15% increase on all tickets starting July 1st. So what does this all mean for your wallet?
For example, a one-way ticket from Penn Station to Princeton Junction will go from $16 to $18.50. And a round-trip ticket from Penn to Newark Airport will cost you $36.80. That's up from $32. CBS 2's Doug Williams live from Secaucus Junction tonight with all the details. Doug.
Christine and Maurice, these board meetings are open to the public. 10 of them have come and gone, and members of the public in each one voicing their concerns and pleading that this not happen. And then this morning came the vote.
Board Member Bontas?
Yes.
Board Member Marocco?
Yes.
A unanimous vote in favor in the Newark Transit headquarters boardroom, where less than an hour earlier, dozens of members of the public had pleaded for the opposite.
This plan is not only unjust, it is bad transit policy.
Probably going to rack up to $20 a day, probably, going back and forth. And it's really unfair for people on the outside who probably don't take public transportation as much, are probably going to think it's only a few cents, but throughout the week, it accumulates.
This fare increase is unfair, it's unneeded.
The fare hike will increase fares by 15% starting on July 1st and increase 3% more year to year starting next year. Board members say it's a necessary measure.
New Jersey residents deserve safe, reliable, efficient, and affordable public transportation. And if there was a way to deliver that to everybody without these fare hikes, I would be 100% on board.
That is not a yes, just as a rubber stamp. It's a yes considering all the factors that we discussed and that you've heard from my colleagues.
Those factors, low ridership since the pandemic, according to transit leaders, which they say will lead to a massive funding deficit with a budget shortfall of already around $100 million.
I think the alternative to filling that budget gap is cutting services. And I think cutting services really does a disservice to working families.
Local leaders and advocates said their concerns had been ignored by the board in the previous meetings on the topic. A press conference Wednesday morning, a last-ditch effort.
This is not about just fares, it's about fundamental fairness.
And we'll talk about this more in the 6 o'clock hour, but folks like Mayor Ballo, who you just heard from, say this isn't just about not wanting to pay more in fares. It's also about pay structure. They want to change how New Jersey Transit should make up this deficit. They believe Governor Murphy and state legislatures should pay for that deficit, not necessarily the commuters. We're live here in Secaucus. Doug Williams, CBS 2 News.
Okay, Doug, thank you. And once the fare increase is in place, it eliminates the FlexPass discount. Also of note, New York City's congestion pricing is set to go into effect 2 weeks before this hike. You can find all of our coverage on our website, cbsnewyork.com.